Happy New Year, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to this year's first episode of Navigate. I'm really looking forward to another year of equipping and encouraging you, our listeners. Whether you're leaving something behind, adjusting to something new, or in the middle somewhere and trying to make sense of it all, my hope is that these conversations provide you with valuable tips and resources to engage with on your unique transition journey. We're going to jump right into a four-way conversation my wife Eve Austin and I recently had with global workers Casey and Mandy Morgan. Casey and Mandy have spent nearly 20 years in cross-cultural mission. They've led small frontier teams, given national leadership to a large global mission organization in East Asia, and have helped build a ministry in Africa before co-founding what they call Field Life, which we'll be talking about in this episode. Now serving in their fifth country, Casey and Mandy live in Southeast Asia with 4 of their 6 children. 2 are in university. What I love about Casey and Mandy's heart is their desire to resource global workers so they can thrive right where they're at. And they've developed a ministry to do just that. And as you listen in, I'm sure you'll agree that we need more people like Casey and Mandy resourcing and coming alongside individuals and teams on the field. By the way, in the episode title and show notes, we will be using the names Sean and Celia in place of the Morgans' real names, and this is for security purposes. And one more thing, you don't want to miss the special offer that the Morgans are giving to our Navigate listeners. If renewal and restoration on an exotic island sparks your curiosity, I encourage you to keep listening. So let's dive into this conversation with Casey and Mandy Morgan.
Hi, Casey and Mandy.
Hi.
Hi, Eve and Tim. How are you?
Good.
We're good. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Great to have you both with us today. And we would just love to hear, and we know that our listeners would love to hear a little bit about where you're both from and how you met.
Yeah, we love to tell this story.
But Casey has to tell it because there's such a long version.
I won't tell the long version. I'll tell the condensed, but it's a bit of a fairy tale. So we grew up, both of us, in Texas, and our families were friends through other friends. We lived in different cities, but our families knew each other to the extent that even all growing up, maybe once a summer, maybe once during the year at a holiday, we would overlap and sort of be around each other for a week at a time. And so as far back as we can remember, we were friends, both of us, and kind of grew up together, seeing each other and spending some holidays together. And fast forward when we were in university, lo and behold, our older brother and older sister started dating, and they got married. And in the wedding, we were the best man and the maid of honor. And so,
Wow.
yeah, so we had sort of already known each other for all these years, and secretly, you know, it was revealed later, secretly was revealed that we had these crushes on each other. And so when the timing was there late in university, our brother and sister were spending New Year's Eve together, our senior year in college. They had already gotten married and invited us to come and hang out with them in Austin, Texas. And so with just a semester left in school and New Year's Day about to head back and go back to our different college campuses, I sort of revealed my love for Mandy to her, and
You sort of did
Yeah,
that?
sort of revealed.
I just went out a little. It was really. It was actually, you know, it was in the middle of the night. We were staying at her mom's house. I'm on the couch in the living room, and I'm having all these thoughts about I'm about to graduate from school and start my life, and this is probably the only opportunity that I'll ever have, really, or the last chance to kind of go for it and tell Mandy how I feel about her. And so I actually went and knocked on her door of her room and woke her up, and we went outside.
That could have gone really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it was a risk, but so she came out and we talked outside in the driveway, and that was it. And a couple months later, we got engaged, and within a year, we were married. And this weekend, we're celebrating 21 years of being married.
Wow. Congratulations. The
Yeah.
fairy tale beginning is still the fairy tale, it sounds like.
Yeah. Yes. It's a
So many more cute fairy tale
just a
parts
fairy
of that story.
tale every
It's hard not
day.
to add.
That's a lot of sarcasm in there. Sarcasm.
So fun. Funny that we were actually both in a wedding. It was Tim's brother that married a good friend of mine. So we were both in that wedding. That's when I was 16 and he was 20. So
That's right.
our fairy tale ending is very different, but that part of it was.
The fairy tale got off to a very slow start. But nonetheless, here we are.
So do you guys have any kids?
Yes, we have 6 kids.
Yeah, we have a few. Yes.
How old are they?
2 boys in college, 19 and 18, and 2 girls in high school, a junior and a freshman.
And then 2 in elementary, 4th and 3rd grade.
And our older 3 are biological, and the younger 3 are adopted. So we have a Chinese daughter and then 2 Haitian children, the youngest 2.
Okay.
So big mixed family.
Yeah, sounds like a fun family blend.
They're fun. Lots of personality.
Where are you guys living currently, and how long have you been living there?
So we are in Southeast Asia, and we're in our 3rd year here. Before Southeast Asia, we lived in Kenya for about 4 years, and we actually started our international time serving on the field in East Asia. We spent almost 10 years in East Asia, and after that, we had actually a 1-year stint in Costa Rica. So we've this is our 5th country as a family, if you include a couple of years that we overlapped in the U.S. But currently in Southeast Asia.
Mm-hmm. So total, the 5th country, and how many years total?
I think we're right around 19 or 20. We started out in 2000, 2001, sometime around there. So yeah, we're moving in on 20 years on the field.
Wow. Did you guys do missions as singles before you married, or?
No, actually, we had very little experience. Never been overseas, either of us.
Before getting married, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we had pretty limited exposure both to mission and cross-cultural engagement, and we had been married for 1 or 2 years, and we actually went and heard this great speaker that we have been friends with for all this time now since then, but we were working at a camp in Texas together. We had just gotten married, and the speaker came to talk to our camp staff about mission and about God's heart for redeeming worship all over the world. And even growing up in Texas, sort of the Bible Belt of the U.S., we were exposed for the first time to information really we had never heard before. Things about unreached peoples and different work opportunities internationally, and sort of this challenge to consider, uprooting your life in one place and moving to some other part of the world and restarting over there was a new idea to us. But yeah, we together for the first time, and we actually had a baby and a 1 or 2 year old, and we moved to East Asia in 2001, and that was our first international exposure, was a long-term commitment.
Wow. That's just taking the leap right there.
Somehow we survived.
Yeah.
Yeah, congrats on surviving that. That's awesome. Yeah, so I'm sure that over the course of nearly 20 years in 5 different countries, you guys have served in a lot of different roles and capacities. And yeah, as your family has grown and those roles change, and that looks different, I know, from place to place as well. But what roles or capacities are you currently serving in right now? Yeah,
so currently we're just a little over a year into co-founding. This is a new experience for us. We started our international experience with a huge organization, and we were leading everything from small pioneer teams of 20-something year olds. We ourselves were in our 20s. That was fun, and then we sort of had opportunities to move into more leadership influence with organizational scope. And then we spent the last 9 or 10 years with a smaller organization, sort of helping it grow and giving leadership in that regard, and giving oversight to teams in all different parts of the world, ourselves being based in East Africa. And just in the last year and a half, we, along with another family, some dear friends of ours who we've served with for a number of years in Africa and then here in Southeast Asia, we decided, just the two families, to co-found what's called Field Life. Fieldlife.org is the name of our ministry, and it's got a completely different feel and approach than we've ever had. We've really focused almost 20 years of our ministry and work with kind of frontline, more traditional, kind of tip of the spear type serving on the field. And this is a ministry that is aiming to serve those long-term workers who we feel most endeared to, that the people that are out there and living cross-culturally and with all the complexities and challenges that come in those roles. Field Life aims to serve them and help them to be healthy so that they can have more fruit and they can not just last longer and sort of make it through another year, but to even grow in personal and ministry vibrance and health along the way. So our current role is simply co-founder together with this other couple friend of ours.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Yeah. So again, over the years, lots of different roles and capacities that you guys were serving in, but now in this place of coming alongside global workers and resourcing them. What's some experiences that have brought you to the place you're at now? What would you kind of point to, looking at all that you've been through over these past 20 years or so, that has really maybe prepared you or brought you to a place, well, this is the time and season for this type of ministry?
Yeah, being on the field this long has put us in lots of teams, different types. You know, we've had teams of All-Americans, we've had all kinds. We've seen people come and go. We just feel like we've seen a lot, been through a lot, and experienced a lot. But I think the biggest thing for us has been a personal crisis that our family has been through. And we've seen things that have brought people off the field for many reasons, and sometimes it is time, but there's so many situations where it feels like it's the only thing to do is to leave the field in this situation. And we just, because of what we've been through, we felt like there needs to be something out there to help people understand that it doesn't have to be the only option, and we can be healthy. We can help our families grow. We can be fruitful even through these things that happen.
Yeah, we've seen for ourselves and our own family and our marriage with our kids that, you know, healing and restoration can happen even in the midst of our lives on the field. And we want to not just encourage other workers and people living cross-culturally to be able to pursue that. We want to be a part of the solution and the resources that are available to them. So everything from team conflict and resolution to organizational misalignment to cross-cultural challenges down to illness and physical health or unhealth, crisis in marriage and in family. These are all things that are really game changers often, and they don't necessarily have to be. With a focus and some attention personally to balance and sort of preventative care along the way, to access to great coaching and counseling when things do hit the fan and you are in the middle of crisis, that those things, that sort of healing and restoration can take place even in the midst of our lives on the field. And so really the reason why we ended up naming this organization Field Life is because we've just looked around and noticed, even as we look at ourselves over the past several years, but certainly our peers teammates for the last 20 years, so often we don't give ourselves the grace. Either we haven't been given that permission by the people who send us, or we don't feel like we're worth the permission to give to ourselves to actually have lives on the field. And so we like to say that, we deserve a life on the field. And so that's how field life was birthed.
That's great. You're sharing something that is really close, near and dear to our heart, that preventative care. Where as you talk, I know you're passionate about this. What are some specific areas of resourcing and caring for global workers are you super passionate about?
Yeah, again, one of the things that we've discovered in our own lives and then teammates and peers around us is even little things like pursuing hobbies, or allowing your family to plan and go on a getaway or have a vacation. Oftentimes, global workers, again, we don't sense that we have the permission to do those things, or we don't give ourselves that grace. So we don't feel like the bulk of, let's call it member care, necessarily needs to be onboarding or offboarding. Onboarding meaning all of the preparation before you go and the training that's involved, or offboarding meaning, okay, now we're in trouble, we don't know what to do, and we basically need to figure out how to leave as best as we can. While those things are both necessary, there's all of this in-between time and a measure of balance that can be introduced into our lives. We like to say that life is complicated enough as it is, and then you throw in the complexities of language and cultural paradigms and trying to figure out schooling for kids in the cross-cultural setting, that it gets immensely more challenging. So perhaps all the more balance in terms of physical, mental, spiritual health, things like, giving yourself rest and renewal, finding access to good input and mentoring and counseling. Those things are even more integral or more necessary for global workers. So that's a long-winded way of saying one of the things, or several of the things that Field Life is trying to do to make that accessible is we have options for coaching, we have options for personal getaways and retreats, and then we have options for big group events for global workers to get together with other workers. And for the most part, all of our resources are free. We do have a retreat that we're working at the moment for men that's coming up that does have a cost associated with, the facilities and the meals and all of that. But we have a free guest house in Southeast Asia for cross-cultural workers. If they contact us through our website, they can come and spend a week on the beach and
tailor-make kind of what they want. If they want coaching in certain areas, we certainly want to help them with that. If we have access to medical care and to counselors, we have a great group of connections, I should say.
Great.
Or if they just want totally personal rest, and it's kind of whatever you need, we're going to make it that.
Yeah, so the free guest house with that menu of coaching and input options. And then we also will travel to teams on our own dime, or we'll do, online platforms, Skype or Zoom with teams, everything from team dynamics, personality profiling, strengths profiling on how different members of the team can contribute and offer balance in a team context. We offer coaching in the area of personal support raising, financial planning. So some of our team members have certifications in some of these areas, but then just some of the experience and input that we might offer, even in areas for family like adoption. If these are things that global workers are considering and they're looking for input, these are resources that we want to make available at no charge. And so we like to say that we're trying to help people remember their calling, be refreshed, and refuel for the journey ahead. And all of that is just that in-between section of member care. And so those are things that we're trying to offer global workers.
I like even the thing you said about hobbies, and not giving ourselves sometimes permission to actually pursue a hobby or something we once loved before we came on the field. And we have a couple examples of that. I mean, it's kind of interesting. We maybe made them a little more complicated than they could have been. I don't think you have to be complicated when it comes to hobbies, and you can find creative ideas. But one of the things I did was revive a hobby I had of my brother and I, when we were growing up, used to raise birds, hatch eggs and raise chicks and birds and stuff. So I came across some incubators and revived that, and it was a fun hobby to kind of revive and actually show my kids when they were growing up and be part of that experience with me. And I was thinking about Eve's scrapbooks. Now that was interesting because those you remember scrapbook days? Those were heavy albums.
Yeah, that was not a super portable hobby, but I made it work. And
yeah, we had suitcases, heavy totes sometimes, but
no, the heavy was from the kids' homeschooling books and stuff, not my hobby. But
okay.
yeah, and your incubator was right next to the piano. I remember that. It's like, not the classiest, but it sure was fun. And yeah, it got us all doing something hands-on and fun together. And yeah, it's so easy to think you've got to work 24/7 and be reaching out and getting stuff done 24/7 and that's not the case. Like you guys said, there's life to be lived and enjoyed wherever the Lord calls us to, right?
Something that's been meaningful for, I think, our kids, like thinking about these hobbies and things. Something that was really hard for me, as I said, when we moved to China, we had a 1-year-old, 2-year-old, and we're 5 months pregnant and had never left the country. So it was like, we're getting on a plane, we're going somewhere we've never been, and that's it. And we don't know anything about it. And which is a great way to start, I should say, because you're stuck and you can't really, there's no other option. We didn't have the option of we're here for a year and we're going to try it out. So, but what I found after being there a year or two is how important it was to me personally, but I think it's been for my kids too, to, as you say, lugging suitcases full of stuff. I would lug suitcases full of silly things like I would think of birthdays and, for each kid that the next 3 years or however it's going to be till we got back. Just lugging things that were from Target that were cute, to decorate the house and make it feel special. And what a difference that made. Just for me, feeling like I could be the wife and mom and make those things feel the way I remembered them or wanted the feeling in our house to be and the memory to be like. And those kinds of things are often forgotten, especially setting up a house when it's not the same and you're often feeling like, well, we don't need this, we don't need that. And yes, you don't need any of these things, but some things are just really helpful to make you feel like you're still living a normal life and able to contribute in those ways.
Yeah, we just put our Christmas tree up a couple of weeks ago, and it's awesome, our kids, to have ornaments that, they made in China 18 years ago.
Yeah.
Little toddler hands, and we still have carried them around in all of these different countries in Foot Lockers or suitcases, and it's worth every cent that we have paid to haul these things around the world, because when it's time to set up the tree every year, it really feels like it doesn't matter if this is our 15th apartment, if it's our 5th country, it's our home, and this is our family, these are our traditions, and it just really has helped maintain that measure of balance that I think is really healthy.
It's just one less big loss, like your hobbies of scrapbooking or whatever.
Yeah,
You're dealing with so many other losses in transition that you're not even aware of. So bringing back some of these things that are special to you and to your kids is really helpful.
It's good.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that a lot of what you guys do, in work, in serving other families and individuals and serving workers, is born out of what you've learned over the last 20 years and some of your experiences. You mentioned family crisis, and would you want to tell us more about that?
Yeah. So again, we have a big family. Mandy and I used to joke when we were pregnant with our first child. We had some friends at church back in Texas who told us, just get ready. If you have more than one child, it doesn't multiply. So it's not twice as challenging. It becomes exponentially more challenging with every family member that you add. And so at that point, we didn't know that we would have 6 kids necessarily. We didn't know that half of our kids would be adopted, but my goodness, we certainly have seen that, yes, it's true. The challenges grow exponentially, and mixing in transition and moving and cross-cultural pressure definitely is a burden that we have all felt, but it's been worthwhile. Anyway, about 4 years ago, we really found ourselves in the midst of certainly the deepest family pressure that we have felt, and it quickly became a full-blown crisis that we never in a million years would have expected or been able to foresee. And it largely centered around one of our children, who was a teenager at the time. And since they were little, we had known that there was something different happening with them, and in the realm of an overly active imagination and some of the moods that they would experience. And we didn't quite know what to do with that when they were 3 or 4, or even 10 or 11, 12, but kind of just after puberty and after another big transition, we had just moved to Africa. It really kind of was pushed to the forefront, and the person who felt it most obviously was that child of ours. But we were able to discover not long after that there was a mental health diagnosis that was very revealing and helped explain a lot of what was going on. But it was already after the crisis had begun, and the crisis, included substance abuse, and it included suicidal ideation and things that as a parent never wants to imagine that their child is going through. And so we started that journey. We were able to give it the highest priority in our family. We're so grateful to the organization we were serving with at the time, was so gracious to us and allowed us the space and the freedom to give focus on helping our child and our family get healthy. And it was quite a journey. I think that even probably just up until the last year or so, we were still trying to understand how to approach care and health. And it certainly involved counseling, not just for that child, but really for almost every member of our family. It impacted our marriage. It brought to the surface things with other members of our family, other kids who, in a really positive way, I think for the first time, seeing their sibling struggle through this and things be brought to the surface, that they sensed the freedom to reveal some of their own turmoil and struggle emotionally and mentally that they were feeling. And a lot of it was tied to, again, the complexities of a life of cross-cultural living and the stresses that come with that. But again, it really, I think, has yielded so much positive growth and so much movement towards health in our marriage for that child that most of the crisis was centered around, but really for all 8 members of our family. It's been such a positive thing. And we know that it not necessarily had to be that way. More than likely, it wasn't going to be that way. So we're extremely grateful that God has allowed us to move in that direction. But it really brought us to a place of pause and looking around. We had seen for years these kind of events and these kind of challenges and crises be the game changers for great friends on the field that we had. And now it was really personal for us. And we were experiencing renewal and redemption and health, and we wanted to be a part of offering that and making that accessible to more long-term cross-cultural workers. And so it was the genesis of really moving towards starting Field Life, leaving leadership and years of great experience in the previous organization to pioneering and starting something brand new. But I know there's not quite as much detail in there that maybe listeners would be looking for that they could connect with or relate to personally. For the most part, we want to reserve the details of that story for that child of ours to be able to share as they see fit. But we definitely want people to know that, yeah, we've been in some trenches ourselves, and we've been in a really dark place where we're asking the questions that we never imagined we would ask of God and of each other, and wondering how we got to where we were. But have also been so fortunate to experience, again, some of that renewal and health and redemption and being on the other end of it. And that doesn't mean by any means that struggle is over. It's likely a lifelong struggle for the whole family. But just having the tools and the awareness and the grace to give full attention and focus on understanding that was really the thing that was the pivotal in our experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing your story. I know, that some of the details are held back because of, that's the kid's story to tell at some point in time. But I know that listeners, as well as Tim and myself, we can fill in the blanks of your story with our own stories. And that it's ours personally as a family, and so many of our friends as well in our 20 years on the field of just, struggles on so many different levels that are really felt for the whole family. It's not just the individual, but obviously the whole family, and then the teams that surround those families and the coworkers. So thanks for sharing your story. And there is hope and growth and so much on the other side of it and in the middle of it. So it's encouraging. Thanks.
Yeah. We want to maybe talk a little bit about Momentum, the conference and I think you might say it's more than a conference. So I'll let you tell about it. But Momentum 2020, what is Momentum 2020, and how did this idea get started, and who's it for? Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Momentum is a men's conference. It's going to be in Borneo in March, and the dates are March 23rd through the 28th. You can get all of the information from our website, fieldlife.org. Click on what we do and retreats, and it'll take you right to Momentum. So it's for men who are living and serving full-time cross-culturally, but it's a chance not just for a party on the beach around a bonfire with a bunch of bros. Much more importantly, or at least equally importantly, it's about access to unbiased, neutral, no strings attached input into our lives as men on the field. And so there will be life coaches. Tim, you're going to be there at this retreat serving. There are...
Can't wait. Yeah, I'm excited.
There's an incredible, really an all-star team of volunteer professionals, life coaches, financial advisors, medical doctors, Christian counselors who are going to be there with one objective in mind, and that is to serve the men who are looking for that kind of input into their lives. And so the thing that we love most about it is that it's neutral. These aren't professionals who are attached with any organization. It's not HR related. It's almost, what happens at Momentum stays at Momentum, in the sense that you have a chance to unload and relieve some of the pressure that might be there from years on the field. And this is an opportunity to sort of lay it all out and get great professional input and advice for everything from finance and budgeting to grief and trauma processing to marriage and family crisis, all of the above, decision making about the future. It's just an incredible opportunity. The reason why we're doing it is there needs to be more of these, both for men and women and families, but I think specifically for men on the field. I got to experience this at a great event called Traction in Switzerland.
Yeah.
Tim, that's where I met Tim a couple of years ago, and he was a coach there for me that really made an impact on me. Thanks, Tim. Mm-hmm. So in many ways, we're trying to multiply that experience that only happens once a year for men, and that we know of. Again, an event like this that's not attached to any organization, that brings men from all walks of life, from all different denominational and missional perspectives in that Christian full-time service arena. So you get, dozens of guys from all over the world serving in different capacities for different organizations, coming together for a week of fellowship and renewal and fun. It's pretty powerful. And in a lot of ways, we're multiplying those efforts that we've seen at Traction in Switzerland. So this is the first of its kind in Southeast Asia. Again, go to the website, and we're trying to get as many guys from around the world, really. A lot of them are coming already, signing up from the Southeast Asia region. But this is for any guy that is living and serving full-time cross-culturally that thinks that they would benefit from this sort of input into their lives. And
Great. And I can attest, if it's anything like Traction, which I'm thinking it will be, because of the way Traction impacted you, and what you have, I'm sure, gleaned from that program. Daniel Hahn has just done an excellent job of putting that together.
And Lori.
And Lori, of course. I was thinking just of Traction, but I think she's involved with both. But they've done an amazing job. And I can't wait to see this transpire here on your side of the globe and be accessible to a lot of people who, maybe Europe is too far to go for a lot of people. So I think, regionally, it's a great place to have this. And so I'm really excited and can't wait to get there and be part of it. You mentioned an offer that you wanted to share about for men who would consider going to Momentum. Can you tell us about that offer?
Yes, I would love to. I know just because I'm sitting here next to Mandy, she's actually jumping at the opportunity to share from her perspective what, a men's retreat like this means for the rest of the family.
Oh, great. Well, let's hear from Mandy first. Yeah.
I was just going to say, most men won't do this. It's their wives that are going to be pushing them to do this.
Oh, Mandy, I cannot tell you how true that is. So many guys I talked to at Traction, there's been a good number who have said, my wife made me go, or strongly encouraged me to go.
I am in that boat completely. I never in a million years would think that Casey would do. In fact, he said, he's had opportunities to do things and he hasn't, because it just doesn't feel needed, or, especially leaders. It's a hard, they've got important things to do, and why would they take time to do this? It just seemed, but being on the other end and the wife having this experience for my husband coming back, it was a game changer. It was life-changing for him. So therefore, trickle-down effect, it's life-changing for his team, for his family, for all the areas that he has led for so well. But so much better after this.
So she's a fan. Yeah, we really say, a lot of guys won't do this, but maybe the women in their lives, whether they're married or not, sometimes the inspiration comes from those women saying, man, you deserve this. Mm-hmm. This is going to make an impact in all of your spheres of influence. You need to go for it. So we do have a great offer we want to offer your listeners, Eve and Tim. And so if they go to the fieldlife.org website and they go to the Momentum registration page, there's a spot where they can enter in a discount code. And if they type in Navigate, then they get $200 off this price of the conference. And it's already, we're hosting this. Even in Southeast Asia, we have been able to align with owners of a resort on an island in Borneo. It's world-class, but they are Christians, and they want to be supportive of what Field Life and Momentum are doing. And they're already giving a huge discount to us. We're raising funds to help bring guys there. And so the price is already a pretty great price for an all-inclusive week, 6 days of meals and awesome accommodations and recreation, et cetera, not to mention the roster of volunteer men who are there to serve and meet with us on a one-on-one basis. But now we'll take an additional $200 off for any of your listeners that go in and type in that Navigate in the registration code.
That is great. Yeah, what a great offer.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. And I know there's going to be some guys out there listening that will want to take advantage of that. So is there, what if you get a flood of guys coming for that scholarship? Is there a limit there?
The first 10.
First 10.
Yeah, there's no limit. I mean, obviously, we have a number that we have a max out. We have exclusive use of the property, and there are only 2 properties on this entire island, and it takes 5 hours to hike through the jungle to get to the other place. So exclusive use of this property feels like you're on a deserted island in the middle of the ocean, surrounded by luxury. So it's pretty awesome.
Now I'm even more excited.
Yeah, no, I want to go.
That said, we haven't hit our maximum yet. So guys, go ahead and sign up. Ladies, register your husbands or your sons or the men in your lives. And when we hit the number, we'll let people know that we have a waiting list, but we're not there yet.
Yeah, I'm thinking this is the perfect Christmas gift for like a whole bunch of men out there that don't need any more toys. They just need this week of renewal. So it's perfect.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And for what it's worth, there are some awesome toys for us out there. Stand-up paddle boards, ocean kayaks, snorkeling, scuba, zip line. This is all at our disposal for the week.
Wow.
Perfect.
Sounds very holistic, well balanced. And so
Mandy, is there going to be a momentum, girls momentum at some point?
Well, that may be in the works, but I think our next dream, there already are a few more things. There still should be more for women, but men was the biggest lack that we've seen out there. And like I told Tim earlier, really families and marriage, we've kind of asked around. That seems like the second biggest thing. So our next big dream is marriage and family conferences.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we'll go first. I think women are way on the next horizon after that.
There's you guys probably are aware of or even participate in. Just in the last couple of years, Mandy's been able to go to Thrive Women's Conference, and Asmira. There's some other great ministries and organizations that are serving global women, but there seems to be this gap for men at the moment.
Yeah, the women's are awesome, and they have a few more options per year. With Action being such a great opportunity, but once a year with the waiting list, that's where we felt like that needed to be first.
Yeah.
For sure. We're potentially, even Mandy and I this year, looking at visiting places like South Africa, maybe another place in Europe or in Asia, where we might consider in the not too distant future doing a marriage or family conference for global workers.
Great.
Okay, so beyond momentum, what are some other resources that you guys offer or that are in the planning or dreaming stages?
And I think you just mentioned one being the family.
Marriage and family momentum.
Yeah, marriage and family. Is there anything else that you guys are dreaming about?
Well, that's kind of on the horizon dreaming. What we have right now is we have the personal getaway with the guest house right here in Southeast Asia. Still working on. We've already had several people come. It's been great. It's so fulfilling to offer this.
Okay, so people can go online and see what that personal getaway is about if they go to fieldlife.org.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they can contact us directly. And if they want to come for a week or 2 weeks or a weekend, then we roll out the red carpet. It's on us. If they can fly to the country where we are, we'll give them this incredible guest house, really, that is right. You walk out onto the beach, unobstructed ocean views. It's a 4-bedroom. There's plenty of room for a single, a married couple, or a whole family. We recently had a family of 8 that came and stayed for a week, and it was awesome. So we have that, and then we also do these coaching workshops or sessions, whether they're in person with a team or with different individuals, or if it's online, a platform like Skype or Zoom. So we do those.
Great. Well, we really look forward to just tracking with you. It's a pleasure. It was a pleasure to meet Casey at Traction, and now really great to meet you, Mandy, and that we can track with each other as couples as well as you guys move forward in this new endeavor. And we're excited for you. We're excited for what this means for the global community of workers out there. And we're cheering you on from here and looking forward to Momentum 2020. And just want to encourage our listeners, whether you're a guy listening or you're listening, you have a special guy in your life that you want to send to Momentum, make sure you go on to fieldlife.org and put in that discount code NAVIGATE, and that'll get you $200 off of that amazing retreat time conference. It's going to be amazing. So Casey and Mandy, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you hanging out with us for this hour or so.
Yeah, thank you guys. Our pleasure. It's great knowing you. Looking forward to seeing you in a few months, Tim. And likewise, we appreciate you and what you're doing for the global community.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
All righty. We'll see you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, I trust you've been encouraged today through this conversation with the Morgans. I want to remind you to check out their website, fieldlife.org, and all the incredible resources they offer to help global workers thrive right where they're at. And also, don't delay. Take advantage of the Momentum Conference $200 discount, especially for our Navigate listeners. Well, that wraps up another episode of Navigate. I've been your host, Tim Austin, and you can learn more about me and what I do to support global workers by going to my website, EncompassLifeCoaching.com. And if this has been helpful to you, would you mind rating the podcast, writing a review, and sharing on social media? Those reviews really do help boost our ratings and give us more exposure. So thanks in advance for that. And of course, you can subscribe so that you're always sure to get in on the next episode. Until next time.